For any long-running video game series with too many games to count, one of the most frequently discussed subjects would be how to consume their products in chronological order. This especially comes to mind when the game series doesn't use a numerical order, or it uses it once and then never uses it again. Although, it's a little too early in this video to get overwhelmed. Throughout the franchise's history, fans have noticed a number of inconsistencies and contradiction in the game's storylines, characters, and events. These errors can range from small inconsistencies in dialogue and character relations to minor plot holes and contradictions. In this video, we're going to take a look at some of the most notable continuity errors in the Idolmaster while we analyze how the continuity may work. And whether you're a longtime fan of the series or a newcomer, we hope you can enjoy this video. But before diving into this video, there's a few things to keep in mind. 1. We'll be avoiding spoilers as much as possible. We want to preserve the experience for those who are yet to play the game, so in the video prescription, you'll find links to patches for some of them. Number 2. Keep in mind that games aren't in numerical order. Just because a game is called Idolmaster 2 doesn't mean it's the second game in the series. Thank you, Namco, that's not confusing at all. But that's what the video is for. 3. Most of these games are self-contained, so it's very possible to fully enjoy the experience of any title without relying too much on others. 4. Not all spin-off games have canonical weight. However, some of them, like the Idolmaster Cinderella Girls and the Idolmaster Million Live, are considered as part of the main continuity. Meanwhile, others, like the Idolmaster Shiny Festa and the Idolmaster Must songs, are considered like side stories and have much less impact on the main continuity. 5. Additional materials have their own continuity. Basically, whatever happens in the anime, manga, or even some CDs does not necessarily follow the same story of the games. For example, during the 10th anniversary of Cinderella Girls, in the Eternity Memory Special, it was revealed that there are many worlds or realities where events can happen in many different ways. For example, there can be a reality where Takumi and Rina are friends because of the events of Engine, or also because of the events of Deremas, or because of the events of the Wingirl manga. 6. There's a Namco multiverse? When the game developer makes so many references to other series, you no longer know where North or South is. Without counting collaborations where series are connected by a special event, like in Kingdom Hearts, there are cases where two series are officially interconnected later on, like Dig Dug or Wonder Momo, which we have mentioned many times in our videos. And if you're familiar with Bandai Namco's games, you should know that they love to make references. So it is an open possibility that Love Live and Idolmaster are confirmed to share the same universe in the future. Who knows? 7. Most console games have true endings, and every playable idol has one. However, the general facts of each ending do not differ that much from each other, except in the case of Dearly Stars. And finally, number 8. In order to make this video, the writer had to watch a lot of gameplays, pester people with questions, and check on a lot of old Idolmaster forums. Basically, the script has been in the works for about a year now and has been postponed due to personal and external reasons, so if you do end up enjoying it, please give a like and subscribe to the channel. Doing so helps us stay in the know on what content people would like to see more of and keeps us motivated to keep doing what we're doing. Alright, with that being said, let's start with the game that started it all, the Idolmaster Arcade.
そう、君だよ、君。ま、こっちへ来なさい。
In this game, we're introduced to how a producer starts working in the company for Namco Pro with the aim of turning them into top idols and thus reaching their true ends. However, the game doesn't provide much background on the company's past or the president. According to information in Idolmaster Sp, a producer can't work on all idols at once, indicating that each completed route happens in its own timeline, similar to how most visual novels work. However, unlike other visual novels that use elements of time travel, dreams, or alternate realities to suggest that all routes are canonical through an epilogue route, Idolmaster Games rarely has one. And if you may be wondering, if the game is self-contained, does there mean that there's nothing more in First Vision? Well, this is where the weirdness begins with spin-offs. In our Idolmaster Arcade review, we mentioned about the fact that you could receive reports and messages from idols on your cell phone that were connected to your progress in the game, right? This is where Idolmaster Happening Location comes in. We won't go into too much detail about how this application works as we plan to cover it in another video, but basically the story is about how the producer and an idol travels together in a concert in a different region. We could consider that these events happen within the continuity of the arcade. In Idolmaster Sp, players are transported back to the world of the arcade game, but with a twist. Miki, Takane, and Hibiki take on the role of rivals. This also means the introduction of Kuroi and Kuroi Pro, who have prominent roles in future games. One thing that remains consistent from the true endings is that these rivals eventually do join Namco Pro, but for those willing to take on the challenge of completing all 3 games as true endings, a special scene between Kuroi, Takagi, and the producer will be unlocked. This scene also provides valuable insight into the change of presidents between Junichiro to his cousin Junjiro, a topic that will be explored in future games. From this ending, the president tells us a very important story that will surely be the origin of Kotori's manga. So if you want to know more about that, you can actually read it on MangaDex.
やはり君にはプロデューサーという肩書きが一番似合うのかもしれないな。ははは、それはいい。
Now, let's move on to extra materials. First off, we have the Idolmaster Drama CD series or the New Stage series. Basically, these are comedy-tinged what-if scenarios of the girls taking various jobs, such as elevator attendant or shopkeeper, or even one where Kotori jumps from reality to reality where the characters change positions. Then, we have manga like The Idolmaster, Idolmaster Break, and Idolmaster Relations. The first one is about adapting the events of the game, and the other one places the president's grandson as a producer, and the last one is a manga focused on Miki and Chihaya. And finally, we have the novels, Melody of Serenity and Heart-Throbbing Summer Days. These focus on Chihaya and a unit called Proro, which consists of Yukiho, Haruka, and Ritsuko. As mentioned above, each material has its own continuity. However, that's the strange thing about Idolmaster, as there's also elements of each of these stories that end up carrying over into the next project. Like for example, there's the fact that Chihaya had a younger brother or the existence of the rival Reika Togoji, who would appear in several cameos in the future. But that doesn't necessarily mean that neither the arcade, nor the Xbox 360 version, or the SP version happens before Daily Stars. In conclusion, the stories that began in First Vision concludes here, but there are many events that will transcend into the next series. So with that being said, let's move on to Second Vision.
社長、僕じゃなくて私まず聞きたいんですけど、事務所の中でもずっと女の子でいなくちゃいけないんですか？仲間にも嘘をついて。うわー、そうでしたね。
The Idolmaster Daily Stars begins the current era of Idolmaster, which is also known as Second Vision. Despite being the first game in this era, this story focuses on 876 production, or also pronounced as Bannamu Pro, instead of the classic Namco Pro. Eri, Ryo, and I will be the main characters of this story. The setting where the story takes place is a few months before the events of Idolmaster 2, and this is where we're able to see the difference between First and Second Vision come in. While we're able to see Namco Pro characters with sprites from SP, it's actually not connected to the SP or the arcade canon. In fact, in this timeline, Takane and Hibiki never mention Kuroi Pro. One of the main aspects of Daily Stars that sets it apart from the games that came before it is the fact that we get to directly control the idols, rather than being a producer who just produces the idols, which means that the development of these three idols can occur simultaneously. This time we do have an epilogue that's unlocked by getting true ends. In this conclusion, I, Eri, and Ryo show how much they've grown and how they're ready to step onto the next stage. However, the one who has the most implications of the three will be Ryo, of which we'll talk about in depth later.
どっかで見た顔だと思ったらいつかのアマちゃんユニットかよ。イラつくぜ。こんなレベルの低い奴らが俺と同じフェスに出るなんてな。歌詞が合ってねえだろ。俺の名前は天ヶ瀬東馬だ。
Finally, we've reached Idolmaster 2, which in many ways is kind of considered controversial. We have talked in the past about the changes between Arcade and Idolmaster 2. And also, among the NPCs that appear as rivals in the arcade version, there's also male NPCs. So from that point of view, having Jupiter as rivals in IMS 2 might not be as crazy as it sounds. But we will end up making a video about the history of the rivals some other time. After finishing any girl's route, the player gets access to Ryugu Kamachi. However, the ending we get from this one doesn't have much canonical weight, as it was added more as an extra. At the heart of the story, it has been a few months since the idols have debuted, but none of them have been very successful. Sole exception for Namco Pro is the unit of Ryugu Kamachi together with Ritsuko as producer. In this game, the player is the main producer again, but we're also someone totally new, again. So now we have to train the idols from start and face new rivals and festivals. At the end of the game, when we get to a true end, there's two important events that carry over into the next games. The first is Jupiter's withdrawal from Kuroi Pro, and the scene where the producer will end up traveling to Hollywood for more training. But there is a surprise after the credits. In most true ends, the producer returns to Japan and is reunited with the idol he produced, except for Miki. She actually decides to accompany the producer without his knowledge.
それで君のアイドルは今日のフェスに出るの？そう、今日は確かランク C か。なるほど、勝てるといいね。
The next game is the Idolmaster One for All. Right, so we haven't done the review of this game yet, but as an advanced statement, One for All is basically the Idolmaster 2 corrected after the complaints made against it. In appearance, both games are almost the same. If you compare these images, one wouldn't know which one came out first or later. However, there is a clear difference. The Idolmaster One for All doesn't have a time limit, and it's very possible that because of this difference that the true end in One for All seems more like a casual moment. But that doesn't mean the game is easy. Not even close. In this game, rivals are incredibly strong. Not only do we have idols from Cinderella Girls and Million Live, but we also have Dearly Stars and even Ai's mom, although not in a 3D model. However, the most notable opponent in this game is Leon. As a clarification before moving on to the next game, besides Leon, Jupiter also participates in the festivals. However, they don't appear during Camus, so one can't technically confirm if they're participating in this game as an independent unit or if they still work for Kudoi Pro. And finally, a game that the writer of this script can talk about without having to research. So this game is easier to determine the date thanks to the fact that Makoto and Azusa both have their Idolmaster 2 designs on their cards. But at the same time, Miki and Haruka also have a card with their One for All and Shiny Festa designs respectively. And we can't forget the cast of Dearly Stars either. They got their own cards too. So, does that mean that Cinderella Girls is in the same timeline as the 4 games? Of course not. Haven't you been paying attention? This is a slice of life series but with a more complicated canon. This is why understanding Digimon lore is so confusing, because that stupid yellow ball that only eats is just so erratic in his movements. Either way, when talking about this game, there's no choice but to talk about its successor, Starlight Stage. So first, let's look at the obvious difference, which is the office. The difference is mostly in its external appearance. And I don't mean that the office is smaller in comparison, as the old office had a lot of space for the idols like in the anime version. Based on Noriko Takao, the director of the Cinderella Girls anime's storyboards, it looked like it would take place in the old office. However, whether by superior decisions or not, both the anime and Starlight Stage versions ended up taking on a more sophisticated, spacious, and commercial look. And about the events, many of the Starlight Stage's idols make reference or connections to various events or groupings that happen in the MOBA, as if they happened off camera or something like that. Take for example Kokokara Mirae, an event featuring the first 10 Cinderella Girls winners. This took place even though Starlight Stage came out 5 years after at least 5 girls had already won the Cinderella Girls crown. Third point confirming the difference in timelines is the collaboration events. These are all events that take place as a theater job. However, the strangest event of all is the event with Dearly Stars. So here the characters from both franchises got to interact directly and even went so far as to talk about their plot story from the Dearly Stars game, which means the Dearly Stars rivals and managers appeared too. And an extra point to talk about is the number of producers in Cinderella Girls. It's kind of illogical to think that one producer can manage more than 100 idols, so the game never confirms or denies that there are several producers, at least until the anime or manga came out, where we do see the idols are working in different departments. Cinderella Girls also had its spin-offs such as the Gravure for You DLCs and Viewing Revolution, but none of those added much to the story, so let's kinda skip that. Alright, we're done with Cinderella for now, so how about going back to Namco Pro? I doubt that much has changed. Okay, never mind. If the Idolmaster anime is based on Idolmaster 2, what if we made a game based on that anime? So that's how we got the Idolmaster Shiny Festa and Shiny TV. Since we've already talked about this game before, in short, this game doesn't really indicate much when it happens in the grand timeline of IMAS, only that it happens during the middle of the anime. So, moving slowly into the future, the Idolmaster Million Live is set to be the next step of the Namco Pro idols. However, it's difficult to understand whether or not it belongs to the continuity of any game. For example, considering that Leon has a card in Grimace, it kind of indicates that this happens during or after OFA. As in the case of Cinderella Girls, there's many points that clash, such as the difference of the appearance of the theater in manga, MOBA, or theater days, or the number of producers working in it. In the manga of Million Live, it's not specified whether there are 1 or 2 producers. If there is one producer who is working in the old office and another one in the theater, this might make more sense. In fact, in most of the first and second vision materials, there's more reference to the fact that there's only one producer, and that he's supported by Ritsuko and the company. Now, let's talk about the difference in Million Lives origin between the movie, GRIMAS, and Theater Days. How everyone, and I mean producer and idols, meet the Million Live girls for the first time is completely different to either Million Live GRI and Million Live Theater Days. So in the movie, they haven't started scouting any girls for the theater project or the Sankyu project. Instead, the 7 Million Live girls introduced were said to be part of a dance training school hired to be backup dancers for Namco Pro's big concerts. While in GRIMAS and Million Live Theater Days, the girls were scouted personally, or the circumstances of their auditions were way different. For example, with Ana and Konami. In the movie, Ana meets a producer because of her backup dancer job. In Million Live Theater Days, she meets a producer in her school. Meanwhile in GRIMAS, Konami blames becoming an idol after Kotori makes a mistake in a job request. In Theater Days, Konami makes this mistake on her own, thinking that she would be an office lady. It's also worth mentioning that the recruitment of Tsumugi and Kaori does not occur in GRIMAS. The second game set after the events of Idolmaster 2, but without following the same timeline, is Idolmaster Sidem. This series has 3 games and all of them are mobile apps: Sidem Solo, Live on Stage, and Growing Stars, which is also called Festa. When many people think of Sidem, the first thing we think about is Jupiter and their ex-relationship with Kuroi, especially when it comes to the origins of their characters. They're the most consistent of the cases we've seen so far. In this case, the reason may be that the developers are afraid of making a bold change, there may be a disconnect that they have with the series, or just because they're being really careful. For example, the fact that Teru was recruited by the producer when they were drinking in a bar after Teru had been fired is maintained in the games, anime, and the manga. Although there's special cases like with Legenders. They entered Psycho Pro in the MOBA through a new idol discovery campaign, but since this event doesn't exist in the Psystock canon, this was changed to a regular scout. Another example is that in the anime, everyone is aware that Pierre is a prince, but in the games it's held a secret that not even Minori, Kyoji, or the producer know. Despite having 3 games, the inconsistencies between the characters' past and events aren't so great. This may be because the game decides to cover parts of the past that have never been mentioned before, like Psysta's Episode 0. Or because these games are meant to be mobile apps rather than console games, and they don't really have to worry much about events written in stone like true ends. However, there is an exceptional case to all the rules: Ryo Akazuki. Ryo is the Doctor Strange of Idolmaster as he travels through space and time, appearing in several of the Idolmaster games. You see him in the Idolmaster 2, Shiny Festa, One for All, Cinderella Girls, Million Live, Starless Season, Poplinks, manga, and in the anime twice. And let's not forget that in the Dearly Stars collaboration with Cinderella Girls, they had 3 events in 3 different seasons: Christmas, Valentine's, and Spring, of which Ryo is present in all 3. Overall, the anime and games are a different canon, different timelines. The difference between the idols isn't much, just like the different producers in those games.
ようこそ我がナムコプロが誇るアイドル養成合宿所へ。私が社長の高木純次郎だ。君にはこれからナムコプロに所属するアイドルたちをプロデュースしてもらうことになる。無限の輝きを秘めた彼女たちを君の力でトップアイドルに導いてほしい。期待しているよ。
But the next stop that we have is a game that sought to reset this Idolmaster continuity. I'm of course talking about the Idolmaster Platinum Stars. While we've seen that the connection of the storylines between the games is practically nil, I use the word reset for this specific case because this game was designed this way since it'll be the first non-app game to receive an international release. In this game, no one from Bantam Pro appears, and there's also no reference to past events. The setting of this game is that a new producer is hired to produce idols who are in a training camp. So if you want to recommend to someone the Idolmaster experience, they can do so with this game. Although, only if they can read Chinese or Korean. Unfortunately, this game never received an official English translation.
はい、グレースコット、私に何か用事でしょうか。ナムコプロのプロデューサーさん、そうだったんですね。はじめまして。私、黒いプロのシーカって言います。お会いできて光栄です。
Just when we thought the reset nightmare was over, we're back to the old formula once again with Idolmaster Stage. Some believe that this game is the direct sequel to Platinum Stars because the producer here is a trainee producer who's been promoted, and also that the girls mentioned that they've returned from boot camp. This is also a facet where the rivalry of Namco Pro and Kuroi Pro begin. Kuroi this time introduces us to a new rival, Shika, and depending on our skill as a producer, we can actually co-produce her. The fact that Kuroi Pro is present in this game doesn't mean that other elements are present, however. It's never mentioned if the producer traveled abroad like in Idolmaster 2, or if Leon is mentioned like in Idolmaster 1 for All. In this game, we'll get new references that'll appear in later games, such as Sheikah being like Takane's little sister, or that Chihia's relationship with her family is better. However, we also have contradictions in events such as the first time Haruka meets Sheikah, since Haruka and Stella Stage never met her before the producer did, although in theater days she did. And sorry for the spoilers that were used as examples for this game. The scriptwriter didn't want to spoil the experience of playing it. Of all the games reviewed so far in Idolmaster subs, this is the one that the scriptwriter loved the most. After the Cinderella Girls anime season ended, and with Sidem trying to get a new game to succeed their first MOBA, an Idolmaster series poked its head out in 2018. This wildly popular branch is also known as Idolmaster Shiny Colors. While Idolmaster has a very powerful and complicated story, it's never collided with other series in the ways that other productions have. So we can be sure that the game has its own continuity intact to this date. Although, except for a Stella Stage poster that appears on an Amina card. Does this mean that both games share the same timeline? That one's hard to tell. Anyway, to not leave the segment empty, I'll just say for now that Shiny Colors has a lot of connection with real places that exist today, and we hope to make a more detailed video in the future.
このユニットで新しい世界を見せてあげる。楽しみにしていてくれ。シーカです。ユニットで活動するのは初めてで、とってもワクワクしています。皆さん、どうか私たちの応援よろしくお願いします。レオンとシーカが新ユニットデビュー？これってビッグニュースじゃん。すごい。早速友達に連絡しなきゃ。ねえ、もう一人の子もすっごく可愛くない？そうなんです。すでにトップアイドルとしてご活躍中のレオンさん、シーカさん、そして黒いプロの秘蔵っ子と噂のあやさんです。
Next up, Bandai Namco wanted to make two crossover projects for the 15th anniversary of the franchise, the Idolmaster Poplinks and the Idolmaster Starlet season. The rule for crossover projects such as Super Robot Wars or Dragon Ball FighterZ is that they usually have their own timeline so that there's no contradictions with their canons. Since characters appear in both games that don't tell many details about the worlds that they come from, we could just leave it at that. But once again, Dr. Ryo is kind of an enigma. For while we see every character of the franchise working together with their same appearance, only Ryo has his classic Dearly Stars costume at the same time with his Sidem costume existing. This is probably because in console games we've always had rival units from other companies participate, so Ryo can only participate here as Dearly Stars. However, considering that among all the Idolmaster franchises, Shiny Colors would be the only one considered to occur sometime after the events of Idolmaster 2, One for All, or Stella Stage because it's a very young franchise. So in a way, seeing the Shiny Colors girls compete against the Dearly Stars is a rare sight. On top of it all, Poplinks and Starlet Season were both games that came out in 2021. The continuity of Starlet Season is really strange because the producer in charge is a producer who's traveled abroad for training and also is a producer that knows Sheikah and Leon. Not only that, it turns out that this Starlet Season producer would be the first producer that the Shiny Color girls work with. As crazy as this game's timeline is, we can't deny that it's a lot of fun to see the interactions between different productions. So this is a really long video. If you come this far and still believe that games have continuity, there's a really easy way to confirm it. Take for example Starlet Season, where the producer starts by returning from overseas. However, this does not mean that the producer is the same producer that came from overseas in the anime film. We think this is done just to give a sense of familiarity between stories. But there's also the fact that the passage of time flows in Starlet Season as we progress from season to season, while in the anime it's noted that it's been a year since the idols have started their journey by the end of the second core. For example, Haruka is 17 years old at the start of the anime, so she should be 18 during the movie and 19 at the end of the movie. But in Starlet Season, she's 17 again. What? If you want to say that there's continuity between games and anime and other games, how does this work then? And for another point, we don't only need to look at ages, we can also look at origins. In IMAS Arcade, Miki's hair is originally brown, but in IMAS 2, Miki's hair is originally blonde. But in Million Live, it suggests that Miki's family's original hair color is brown. So Bandai, which version is it going to be? Well, it's time to end this video, but not before thanking the people our scriptwriter has been bothering with questions over the past year, and also the Patreons for continuing to support this channel. To tell you the truth, the video that we had in advance was a video of collaborations, however, this video was the one that won in voting, so there is no other choice. We're sorry for the delay in videos, but don't forget, I'm Mass Psycho.